Good morning, everybody. I think I should give my address in Kiswahili because I have tried to encourage as many of us to learn Kiswahili. It is a language spoken in, I think, almost 12 countries in our region. But I will spare you that today only. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to welcome you, and I thank you most sincerely for accepting my invitation and taking time to join me this morning. I know that we have established a tradition that we will be engaging with ambassadors, high commissioners, representatives of various global international organizations that are resident in Kenya as a way of building bridges so that we can consolidate our relationship and understand each other more, and so that you can be able to represent not just your countries, but also understand us so that we can better enhance our partnership. That's why we established this annual engagement as a deliberate and regular feature of our diplomatic calendar in recognition of the essential role that sustained consultations with resident diplomatic corps plays in advancing cooperation and understanding. This gathering, therefore, offers us a timely opportunity to reflect together on the significant developments of the past year at the national level, on the regional front, and we all understand what has been going on globally, so that we may proceed with a shared understanding of the realities shaping our relations and our responsibilities. Excellencies, 2025 marked a defining phase in Kenya's socio-economic development journey. It stands out as a period when many of the reforms and strategic initiatives undertaken by this administration began to yield measurable and visible results. Across key sectors, policy choices have translated into tangible progress, affirming both the soundness of our direction and the resilience of our people. These gains have strengthened confidence in the course of our economy, deepened social cohesion, and laid firmer foundation for inclusive and sustainable growth in the years ahead. Central to the progress recorded in the past year is the continued expansion of some of our signature projects. Just to give you maybe 3 or 4 areas that were of critical concern to this administration. As we all understand, we emerged in 2022 from the adverse effects of COVID, from the serious challenges that came as a result of the situation of conflict in Europe, and the many other commodity issues that came into play. And as a result, most of our economies were constrained. Our fiscal space was limited, and debt became a very serious challenge to many countries, including Kenya. In fact, statistics showed that Kenya had one of the biggest Eurobond in our part of the world. And many people were wondering. I remember even the Secretary General of the United Nations, my friend Antonio Guterres, asking me, what's going to happen when this thing falls apart and Kenya defaults? Because to many, it was no longer It was no longer if, it was when. But by God's grace, we managed to consolidate our economy. Kenya actually was listed to be among 6 countries that would default. Fortunately for us, 5 of our colleagues defaulted, Kenya did not. And we had to make very difficult policy choices, sometimes very uncomfortable. I remember my first assignment when I sat in a room called number 6 in that building was to reduce our budget by 300 billion shillings and to put a stop to some of the subsidies on fuel, on unga, that weren't really getting to the people, but costing us an arm and a leg. Today, sorry, thank you. Today, with confidence, I think we have taken the corner. Our economy is much more stable than it was at that time, as you're all aware. Our inflation, which was way around 9%, now is at 4.4, 4.5. Our exchange rate that had run amok is now stabilized for the last year and a half, almost 2 years actually, at 128, 129. And our dollar reserves, which had also dwindled to about $5.7 billion in 2022, we now have the highest foreign exchange reserves in Kenya's history at $12.3 billion. So we have, with the support and encouragement of many of friends and partners, we have managed to consolidate our economy. We still have a lot to do on it to make sure that we avoid the pitfalls of the past. The policy choices have sometimes been uncomfortable, but I want to say absolutely necessary, because unless we did that, we would have gone the direction many of our colleagues went. Number 2, we took the decision that we needed to stabilize food security in our country. The biggest challenge that I encountered when I came into office was the price of stable food. Many of you witnessed people in the streets with sufurias. I know you know what sufurias are on their heads, and that kind of situation. We've had to register all farmers. Today we have a register of 7.1, I think by this month, 7.2 million farmers. We are now giving out fertilizer on voucher. We are working on ensuring that reforming actually the whole agricultural sector. We had challenges with brokers and cartels and people who had cornered the agricultural sector. We have cleaned up our sugar sector. Many of you remember, those of us who are members of COMESA, Kenya has been asking for COMESA safeguards for the last almost 20 years. But I can now confidently say that we have reformed the sugar sector, and we have 200,000 new farmland on sugar. We have registered and licensed another 5 sugar mills. We have enhanced our production from about 500,000 tons to 815,000 metric tons. Hopefully this year we intend to get to 1 million tons. And in another year or two, Kenya will be a net exporter of sugar. That is our plan. And so have we with coffee and tea and milk. And we have seen those sectors grow. And I want to thank many friends, development partners. The World Bank have come through for us in the agricultural sector. And we have made demonstrable progress. In fact, our staple food maize, we have increased our production from about 44 million bags in 2022 to 75 million bags this year. Again, the highest in Kenya's history. As you're all aware, we had also a very big challenge with education. Close to 23 universities were technically insolvent because the funding model that existed did not work. We had challenges with the competence-based curriculum. There was a misalignment between teachers, students, and other stakeholders. And that is why I immediately, upon coming into office, I set up a presidential working party that gave us recommendations. We have implemented those recommendations and aligned them with our manifesto. And that has seen us build an extra 23,000 classrooms. I must again commend the World Bank for coming through to us, for partnering with us in the building of those new classrooms. We have hired an extra 100,000 teachers in the last 3 years. In fact, 1/3 of all the teachers teaching in Kenya today were hired in the last 3 years to close the gap on teacher-student ratio. We still have a small challenge on laboratories.